Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here for now look across the plains of the multiverse. We have already dipped our toes into the lakes of hell in the past, so considering how much about the plains we are going to be talking about real soon, let's balance it out with talks on heaven. It's going to be quite the climb, so let's get started. Just like hell, the way to go through this is by layer. And to begin, we look towards the side tangent, the part of the show where retcons are the deepest of lore. That's right, we are starting by talking not on the layers of heaven, but the original information on them. In the 2009 sourcebook The Great Beyond, one of the earliest to deal with Golarion's planes, the information had each of the layers named after the leader of that layer. They were, in order, Megathiel, Sandalphon, Jeffrudel, Andalet, Uriel, Melektos, and Salathiel. As we go through, you will see not only have the names changed, but many of these deities have been reduced to footnotes, but they'll make appearances. Actually, going through the layers, first we have Sandalphon, the layer of heaven devoted to keeping the unworthy out of heaven. Definitely not part of the layer is the unbent forest surrounding the layer. These foothills home to guardian Empyreal Lords like Pentagon. But eventually the forest breaks and one finds themselves in open fields of grain, the fields of serenity, where those chosen for heaven wait their turn to enter. And within these fields, there is the prime validation, the wall of heaven itself. There are two who act as a steward towards the gate, that being Aquarius, Lord of the Wall, who is devoted to keeping people out, and Julara, choice-crowned, Lord of the Gate, devoted to welcoming people in. And one more location of note in the first layer is the town of Heaven Shore, also nicknamed Heathen Shore because of the allowance of outsiders in any inch of heaven. This city is right outside the gate and is set up to allow outsiders some trade with the city and allow them to make their pleas to heaven. Made up by transient visitors from all planes, but with gods of angels and governors of archons, the city is made up of the shining markets to the south, the spire court full of places of worship for all the heavenly deities to the north, residential districts to the east and west, and governance, the place where the city is ruled from, in the center. But while we're here, this is also time to stop by what is now a former piece of heaven. Side tangent 2. The Entropic Hold. Originally one of the bastions upon the walls, a demon lord tried invading and, when failed, blew themselves up. This caused the fortress to detach from the wall and get pulled into the Maelstrum. Still connected to heaven by a chain, that still did not stop the former leader from going mad from all that is needed to defend the fortress in the midst of the Maelstrom. Even now, the island the bastion once sat on has been pulled apart piece by piece, dust particle by dust particle. And research from heaven has shown that, for some reason, the polar maelstrom is stronger on the island than those around it, as if the maelstrom is constantly focusing on them. Second layer is Prolera, a location where the armies of heaven are gathered, ready to charge into a fray of the endless war between the forces of good and evil, of law and chaos. This layer is sparse on official locations we know, the only two places being Iomedes' realm and Sandalphon's court. Here, they do not get the top billing, some angels still live here. Either way, Sandalphon is not the sword. That would be Cornelia Stormcaller, voice of the Shining Host. The third layer is Golarion, location where many meditate on the meaning of good and righteousness. Here one will find monuments to fallen heralds, the Grand Hall of Righteous Heralds, as well as the Citadel of the Might Righteous, where the Archons of Heaven are trained. Also home to the Alabaster Passage, the location where all souls who teleport in find themselves. The Palace of Jugadiel sits here, but the steward is Hamani, the High Preceptor. The fourth layer is Equinism, where the righteous without connection to one deity or another spend their eternity in peace. The realm is full of the domains of deities, featuring Gensha's Grove, Witness's Grand Library of Harmless Scriptures, and the Fields of Opsimathi, the domain of the Empyreal Lord Andalet, the steward of this level. In addition, Eristil's domain is also found here, as well as the city for those righteous who are agnostic, Mirielin. One of these days I'm going to practice these names beforehand, but Mirielin. Fifth, we have Illumis, where philosophy and moral debate are the name of the game, and where the concept of what is good is explored. This is also a layer which we know little about, there being the home of the half-empty palace, domain of Felania, and the winding towers of Salafiel. What happened to Uriel, I have no idea. Instead, the steward is Oxcariel, the chief monitor, who is in charge of keeping the arguments civil. The sixth layer is Ludis, which is the administrative center of heaven. Ruled by the Council of Vision, those who in their professional capacity are only referred to as the head, the heart, and the hand, this location is filled with the location of many Empyreal Lords. The Court of Accord serves two of them, Ulfion and Damarich. The Grand Court of Heaven, where the laws of heavens are decided, is also home to Zolz. And let's not forget, this is also a location of the empty palace of Merkeltos. In addition, this is also where a small garden, the Perelman's Orchard, is located, where plants from the seventh layer can be found growing. But while we're on Merkeltos, let's talk about the mysterious deity as side tangent 3. The Peacock Angel was once the Imperial Lord who ruled over the sixth tier of heavens, who has been missing for millennia. There is a debate on her ultimate fate. Some say she was captured by a mortal spellcaster and there are chances she might return to her throne one day. Others claim that the sword of the horsemen for Suziel, the Lamentations of the Faithless, was once her sword, and the fact that it is currently in the daemon's hands means the Imperial Lord is long gone. Regardless, since her disappearance, her palace has stood empty, and her seat has been given over to the Council of Vision, which means that there was actually two of the original who were ruling at some point, but not anymore. And then the seventh layer is the garden. There is no steward, there are no buildings. There is simply a vast garden atop the mountain. This is the oldest part of heaven, but anything else above this layer is unknown. About everything else about this layer, there's nothing above the garden. That deals with the outside, mostly, but there is also the inside of the mountain to examine. A majority of what exists inside are the realms of the Dwarven deities, including Torog. But inside is also where one will find a Chamber of Remembrance, a prison which holds the enemies of heaven with a chance to be redeemed, as opposed to straight execution for those truly wicked. And we also have a few locations in heaven that we have no idea what location of are exactly, just that they exist. First is the Palace of the Election, home of the Empyreal Lord Loremaster. Then we have the Plaza of Martyrs, where all who gave their lives in the name of heaven are honored. All of them. Finally, the Tower of Enlightenment and the Untested is where those who have been in heaven long enough to forget about their past lives are given the chance to reforge themselves into Celestials. And finally, let's end with one more side tangent. A part of heaven which is not a part of heaven. The Grand Council determines what is just throughout the planes, but even it cannot handle every case. Which is why it has the House of Judgment as lower courts to handle cases and appeal to the greater question to be answered. The 77th House of Judgment has jurisdiction over Golarion, potentially all the Pact Worlds. The three judges here are the Maelstrum Deva Tizduk, who uses a Z in the middle of the name, Tizduk, who either is known for being the swing vote or the dissenting vote, the Archon Hebeth, who is daughter of Zeus, who is known for writing in a way which is both logical and easy to understand, and Zifra, an Azata known for their dry wit, but mischievous humor. And that brings an end to this week's episode. I hope you liked it, because we'll be exploring the planes coming up relatively soon, in honor of a book on the edge of the lease. But first, we have this month's God video. But until then, take care.